Roz Moskowitz-Belsky, and I am currently the chairperson of the Pleasant Valley Civic Association, which, if you don't know by now, you know that we're dedicated to the safety and beautification of the Pleasant Valley Way corridor, and we are a member of the Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board, which is we've been hard at work for the last year and a half, and we are very grateful for the township for setting the Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board up. So we're going to start with a flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to introduce Marlene Sincaglia from the League of Women Voters. Marlene, thank you for coming out tonight. I do want to have some quick thank yous to the Partners for Health for always supporting us in our efforts for safer roads. I want to thank John Carnegie and, of course, Charles Brown from the Voorhees Transportation Center at Rutgers University. I'd like to thank all of the fellow members of the Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board, and I would like to thank you all for coming out. We will get our roads safer. Trust me, we will. We're not going to give up. Thank you. Jill Tickle, thank you for being our timekeeper. Sit back, relax.
Okay, we're going to begin. This evening is divided into 3 parts. The first part is the candidates' opening remarks. They will have 2 minutes. They drew lots to see the order of making these opening remarks. And Ms. Perkowski is up first.
Thank you. Work? Is that good? Position? No? Better? Better? Hello? Okay. Thank you, first, to the Pleasant Valley Civic Association and the League of Women Voters for organizing tonight's forum. Some of you may already know I'm a lifelong West Orange resident. I am grateful for the experiences gained and the memories created living in this wonderfully diverse, eclectic community that we all call home. I believe that each of us has a responsibility to lend our unique skill sets to the community to keep it thriving. For me, that means serving on the Township Council. Professionally, I've worked as a marketing leader for 15 years for several financial services firms, currently at Marsh & McLennan Companies. My specialties include brand advocacy, market analysis and insight, and product management. Personally, I've been an active volunteer inside and outside of West Orange for over 20 years. I was a member of the West Orange First Aid Squad for 6 years, the Domestic Violence Response Team for its initial 4 years, and the West Orange Relay for Life for the past 13 years. I've even braved condo board management when I lived at Crestmont Gardens. I currently serve as a trustee for the Friends of Edison, vice chair of the Mount St. Dominic Board of Trustees, and a commissioner on our PR commission. My education includes a Bachelor of Science from the College of New Jersey and an MBA from NYU Stern. As an independent candidate, I offer a fresh set of eyes and new ideas to keep our community thriving. West Orange was built on innovation, and I believe it's crucial to continue in this tradition as we plan for our future. The West Orange of today looks much different than the West Orange I was introduced to 40 years ago. I seek the opportunity to ensure that today's children feel the same passion about the town that I do today. I believe strongly in cooperation and collaboration, and I trust that even with our differences, we can take steps to make our community more appealing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Castellino.
Thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and to Roz and Jill for putting this together this evening. Can you hear me back there? I don't think I might. Can you hear me?
Yes, right.
Okay. I'm always proud to start off that I'm always happy to start off that I'm a proud lifelong resident of West Orange and a longtime community advocate. I met my husband, Tony, who's there in the back at Mountain High School many years ago, and we chose to stay in West Orange for All of our 3 children have graduated from West Orange School District. Right? No good this one? Okay. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Okay. This better? Professionally, I am a regional business director and a title closer for Madison Commercial Real Estate Services. Last September in 2015, I was honored to be appointed to fill a vacancy left by Councilwoman Spango on the Township Council. After nearly 10 years as an elected official on the Board of Education, I was excited and humbled by the opportunity to serve our community in a new capacity. As a certified school board member, I focus on strengthening the district curriculum and championing townwide re-registration to ensure that only township residents were enrolled in our schools. I developed new cost-effective policies and procedures related to use of our school facilities, transportation, and custodial overtime. My efforts during those years resulted in over $2 million in tax savings to our taxpayer and $4 million in grant awards to our school. And I'm really proud to state that the redesign at West Orange High School was due to gaining an award from one of those grants. As a councilwoman, I have dived into the township challenges and concerns with my colleagues. I work to stabilize property taxes with them, grow senior services and jitney transportation, and support critical infrastructure improvements. I've also been honored to support our police and fire forces with funding that they need and with equipment. I've also served on the as council liaison to the Public Relations Commission and the Board of Education. Working closely with the mayor and the administration, I directly address township issues head-on, have outlined creative, positive solution to meet our community needs. Collaborating with the township grant writer, I've sought awards that could bring in additional revenue and provide needed services for our residents. Working to expand the township's profile, I work with the Downtown Alliance promotions team and the West Orange Public Relations Commission to hold residential and commercial realtor open houses so that our local realtors can be better educated about and better educate their clients about all things West Orange.
Thank you very much.
That's it? Okay.
Mr. Kalfani.
Ready? Good evening. My name is Dr. Akil Kalfani. I am a resident here in West Orange for 18 years. I'm excited to be running again for town council. I ran 2 years ago. And when I look at the things that were going on in town at the time and the reasons why I ran, those issues, for the most part, are still present today. And so I'm asking for our neighbors' support so that we can bring about change in town, so that we can have positive change to address the challenges that many of us see, that many of us want new vision, want new ideas, and that we need people in office who are visionaries. We need people in office who are willing to work against the grain, but at the same time build with the folks who are on council. So we're not going to change everything in one swoop, but the idea is to find ways to find synergy and to push things forward. Now, I'm a professor for 11 years at Essex County College. I have a PhD in sociology, a master's in sociology, and a bachelor's degree from the University of California, and my other degrees are from the University of Pennsylvania. I've also worked arduously as someone dealing with municipal government. I ran the Urban Issues Institute down at the college for 2 years, and that gave me an opportunity to work with the New Jersey Urban Mayors Association as well as the League of Municipalities. So I have a wealth of experience in working with folks not just in town, but also throughout the entire state of New Jersey. And so then those skills, I believe, will help us to transform things that are going on here in town and galvanize the ideas and the concerns of the residents here so that we can collectively work for positive change in West Orange.
Thank you. Mr. Guarino.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the Pleasant Valley Way Civic Association, the League of Women Voters, and thank you for all the West Orange residents who came out tonight to hear the candidates talk about their vision of West Orange. I've been happily married person in the Township of West Orange, and my wife Robin Ginsberg Areno, a graduate of the original West Orange High. I've been actively, for over 35 plus years, involved in this community, starting with the first chairman of the Main Street Development Corporation, through the Gregory School PTA and Strawberry Festivals, to the grammar schools, to the high school. Also as the Vice President, Trustee, Secretary, Treasurer of the West Orange Mountaintop League. I've always been big on increasing and making available active sports advantages for our youngsters and making them affordable. I've also been in the idea for our township of moving our township forward, and that's why I'm always about positive results, about commitment and the results. And my background of over 40 years as a senior financial consultant and analyst for Macy's, for Neiman Marcus, and currently I'm the senior consultant at Michael Kors in HR. I take my responsibilities and my education and my background in these businesses and I apply them to the town. When we look at our budget, when we look at the needs and the necessities of how we keep the quality of life in West Orange and the level of services to our residents while also maintaining expenses. But I'd also like to go back on the great accomplishments that we've done over the past 4 years in my first term on the Township Council. I am the council liaison to the Downtown West Orange Alliance, and I am the author of the West Orange Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board to address our traffic issues, and was instrumental in bringing the Rutgers Complete Streets program to the township. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Krakowiak.
That was very good. Testing? Mike, how about? Oh, there we go. Good evening. Thanks to everyone for putting this great event together, and thanks also to everyone who's attending tonight. And I just want to say resident participation in the government process gets my adrenaline going. As the longest serving council person in this race, I believe also that I'm the only independent councilman, the only one who has consistently been the voice of the people on the council, listening to their concerns and advocating on their behalf. During my time on the council, I've been holding to the promise I first made more than 6 years ago to work for increased transparency, accountability, and fiscal responsibility. In that time, I've scrutinized all spending, I've brought transparency to the government process, I've tried to hold downtown redeveloper PRISM accountable. I've based every decision on what's in the best interest of the community as a whole. My ultimate goal is to restore West Orange to the affordable, quality community that many of us want it to be. With you guys, I've made significant strides, but I ask for your vote tonight because there's more work to be done. For those who don't know me, I moved to town in 2003 with my wife, Claire Silvestri, who was born and raised here, and our 3 children. I started my professional career as a financial and investigative journalist, did work at USA Today and the Wall Street Journal and other papers. I'm now a business communications consultant, which is just a fancy PR term for a PR guy. I've been very active in the community, especially when my kids were younger, both coaching their teams and in the Cub and Boy Scouts. I've been involved in several ministries at both St. Joe's and Our Lady of Lourdes. I'm also treasurer of the Friends of the West Orange Public Library, and we recently revived the group to fundraise to make up for significant funding cuts the council majority has so far declined to make up. Please consider joining us by going to WOPL.org and click on the purple box that says Friends, and it'll tell you all the benefits and the costs of membership. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Scarpa.
Hi, my name is Susan Scarpa. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and Roz for putting this together and everybody for coming out on the night of another important debate, which we'll probably all go home and watch. I am a lifelong resident of West Orange. I currently work at Redwood School as a speech-language pathologist. I was at Gregory School in the same capacity for over a decade. I got my BA degree from Douglas College of Rutgers University and my master's in speech pathology from Kean University. Prior to working in the schools, I owned and operated a telecommunications consulting business in New York City where I also lived. I earned my MBA at Fairleigh Dickinson University, and I worked there as a graduate fellow teaching organizational behavior and doing many university research projects. So my research background is something that I think I can bring to the township. I grew up in West Orange. It's a special community. It embraces all of the small town feel, yet it's so culturally and economically diverse and close to New York City that it embodies the best of all. Even though my career took me to New York City, I came back frequently on weekends to visit family and to visit friends. So in a way, I feel like I never left. I've always loved West Orange. It's just a beautiful place. And I knew that I wanted to raise my son here. So I came back. If you ask anyone who knows me, they'll tell you I'm not a politician. I'm a mother, a daughter, I'm a speech pathologist, and I'm a businesswoman. I'm running for office because I believe our town would benefit from someone who's not a politician, from someone who is a businesswoman, who can tackle some of the difficult issues that we're facing.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. The questions were solicited by the Pleasant Valley Civic Association and generated by the group as well. The questions vary in length, and the first question is 1 minute in length, and Ms. Casalino, you're going to be going first. Here's the question. Everybody gets a chance to answer. All the major roads that traverse West Orange are county roads, and although both the township and the County of Essex have adopted complete streets policies, the roads are not competitive, efficient, reliable, or livable for all road users. Elected county officials have been largely absent during our discussions for increased safety. What is your strategy to effectively increase the communications and compliance between the County of Essex and the residents of West Orange?
All right, well, this past year, being the freshman on the council, I jumped right into action when residents came to me about the issues with Pleasant Valley Way. They weren't unfamiliar to me. Sitting on the school board, we had many issues with Alyssa Drive, which is the street that is by the soccer field over by West Orange High School, and we've had numerous incidences with, unfortunately, our students. So we would advocate, as a school board member in the past, to work with the county. 30 seconds, not prepared for a question. Answer is, just keep going to the county freeholders, advocating for the safety issues. We applied for a grant. We're hoping to get that to help with that, and hopefully when we get the money for the grant, we'll facilitate meetings to have an open process on how we were going to how we're going to incorporate the Complete Streets program.
Thank you. Mr. Krakowiak.
Thank you. There certainly is a problem with the relationship between the township and the county. And what I talk about is a lot of little things to help improve the situation. We've got to continue building the relationship. We've got to be persistent. And if there's anybody in West Orange who is more persistent than Roz Bilski, I don't know who. And that means we got to keep going to them and keep asking them. We've got to provide transparency by talking about it to the press. The county engineer lives in West Orange, so I could go knock on his door too, if Roz, if you ever needed me to. But we need to be persistent, and we need to demonstrate our seriousness. And one of the things we need to do is demonstrate our seriousness by working as a township to reduce the speed limits on Pleasant Valley Way and demonstrate that we're really serious about getting this done.
Thank you. Mr. Guarino.
Thank you very much. Roz Belsky came to me 2 years ago, and she gave me a challenge, and I faced that challenge in authoring and pushing forward the Pedestrian Safety and Advisory Board, which in effect has gotten the lines of communication open between the county and the Township of West Orange. I also was instrumental in rewriting the ordinance to reduce the speed limits and increase the speed control areas of all the schools in the Township of West Orange. The steps have been taken. We have made the inroads into the county government. The county is very willing to work with us. The county is supporting our engineering department and our organization with the TAP grant that we are applying for, which will be applied to Eagle Rock and Pleasant Valley Way. These are the things that I have done, and these are the things that I will continue to do, particularly when it comes to the safety of the streets for our seniors, our adults, and especially our students.
Thank you. Ms. Burkowski.
Great. So I think one of the benefits of being new to the council would be the lack of preconceived notions about the relationship with the county and lack of baggage, for lack of a better term. So I plan to reach out directly to our county representatives. I think our pedestrian safety board has done great things. I think we need more presence, bigger presence, both in frequency at the freeholder meetings in front of the county, letting them know that we are serious, and this is a commitment that we've made. I also think we need to engage our surrounding towns, if for nothing else than finding out what the best practices were, where they succeeded, particularly on things like Bloomfield Avenue in Montclair and Verona. How do they get it done if we can't get it done? And if for nothing else, we take those lessons learned and we turn back to the county and see how we can, in the spirit of collaboration, work to solve our common issues.
Thank you. Ms. Scarpa.
I've been attending the meetings that they've begun to have with the Complete Streets, and I'm just beginning to get really familiar with the inner workings of it. And I think it's really a matter of a media campaign and actually bringing awareness to the community of the need for complete streets. I know as I talk to residents, people always say to me they love West Orange, but they wish it had a community center like Montclair or some of the surrounding communities. And I believe we all have to work together as a community to bring complete streets together and to push for it, both at the county level in getting the attention of the county representatives, going and pushing and getting it in the paper and getting everyone to rally around the whole idea.
Thank you. Dr. Kalfani.
So when we look at the whole idea of complete streets, I think that that it's imperative that we look at the entire town, right? I think that if you look at the Complete Streets report, it gives a great understanding of the density in town. It gives great understanding of the population and the distribution, where everyone is. And so that when you apply the data, then we can begin to develop ideas that are comprehensive. And I think when we develop comprehensive ideas that includes the entire town, we will have we have a way to transform things and do things that haven't been done, right? So that as we talk about new people coming on board, that I think that one of the reasons I'm running is that we've got to get to the place where we're willing to challenge the ideas and push things to the next level where the majority of the folks who are currently on board haven't done.
Thank you. Question number 2 is also 1 minute in length. Dr. Kalfani, you'll be going first for that one. And the question reads, in the October 11th CNN article on the Edison Village redevelopment project, author Charles Cox wrote that after the construction of 330 apartments and 18,000 square feet of commercial space, they will, and I quote, then start on similar development over the surrounding 21 acres, end quote. Given the current overcrowding in our schools and the alarmingly high crash rate on Main Street, what is your vision for Phase 2 and Phase 3 of Edison Village, and how will that sustain West Orange in the future?
Well, I'll start off by saying that I think that the idea, the way it's been designed, is a bad idea. I think we started with a bad premise, and that we've got to come with another rhyme and reason about how we do what we do. And I think that, since things have already started, as we look at the company, Prism, that we see that they've defaulted over and over again. So it's an ongoing problem. And the residents of West Orange are frustrated. I'm frustrated. I've been here for 18 years. I think that we have the responsibility to develop a plan that's completely different than the one that's currently going on. So that as we look at Phase 2, that I think that we need to capitalize on the 70,000 visitors that go next door. At the Edison Center, you have 70,000 visitors every year, but we don't really engage those folks to bring revenue into town. So if we develop that in a different way, that if we begin to think about alternative approaches, that we could have something there that is a new revenue stream for the municipality. municipality, we can actually do something to change that. But the parking is a problem, the transportation is a problem, and we need to come up with a more effective plan to do that.
Thank you. Ms. Scarpa.
I believe the project is not the best project and the best plan as well. But it is what we have, and we do have to work with it. The project management, as we move forward, I think will be very, very important to make sure that the project is moving along in a timely fashion, that each stage of the project happens the way it should, and that we don't fall behind. I believe the commercial businesses that go in there will probably make a big difference as to how the project rounds out and what type of environment we actually create. The traffic issues, I hope they will work with the parking garage that they're building, but I do believe that we need to relook at the traffic issues there because that's going to be problematic.
Thank you. Ms. Perkowski.
Great, thanks. I think first of all, phase one, I'm glad to see is underway and we see some progress happening. I think that based on the studies that have been done relating to the number of children expected to come from a development like this and similar ones in Montclair and Bloomfield and other areas, the influx of children will not be as high as some are projecting. So the overcrowding issue in school may not prove to be dire. But I do think that phase one will help shed some light on that for us for phase 2 and 3. I'm a very big advocate of implementation of a full-time township planner for us quickly. And I think that person who's got the experience in a strategic plan, 5-year, 10-year, 15 years for the town, would be critical in our negotiation for phase 2 and 3 to help guide us in how to alleviate some of those big issues.
Thank you. Mr. Guarino.
Thank you very much. Just for the public's knowledge, the PRISM is not the developer of the downtown project. PRISM is a 1% equity partner. It's Dune Partners Realty. That's a developer. That's a new developer. As council president, when I was council president, we brought in to bring forward to move $140 million investment into the downtown corridor. The downtown corridor and this project is instrumental in the vision of how we can make it a successful downtown, to take the burden off our homeowners, increasing commercial revenues, and depending on that, to take the burden off the homeowners. When it comes to increased children in the population, look at your neighborhoods and the normal houses turning over from people retiring and leaving West Orange and all the new children coming into West Orange. The downtown development is not going to have an overburden on the township or our school system. It will put what we needed in the downtown corridor, the trust to bring the people down to the downtown, to have a good comfort, have a good visit, and a great partner with the Edison Laboratories. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Krakowiak.
Thank you. You got me, Mike? There we go. Thanks. Need to speak up. Sorry. Okay. First of all, I was very disappointed to see in an article. It just wasn't in any way complete. It certainly didn't give a lot of the downside of what's been going on down there. PRISM is now in its second foreclosure in the redevelopment area at the CVS property at 217 Main Street. This is the second one in the redevelopment area. They couldn't get financing for phase 1, so they had to give up their majority ownership to go down to 1%, so they could find some financing for phase 1. And going through their inability to not get financing for the first phase, and then foreclosures, 2 foreclosures, probably means they're not going to have an easy time getting financing for the second and third phases. The problem with the entire project is that it's almost nothing but residential, and it's likely to bring in tons of children while because of the 30-year tax abatement, they will not be providing any additional revenue to the schools. Our schools are packed to the gills right now and are close to exploding, so even a little addition to the
Thank you. And Ms. Castellino.
Okay, we could all make assumptions on how many students will be, that the project will yield. However, you need a demographic study to tell you so. We had done one a few years back on the school board. We took all the information from the planning board and we incorporated it into a study. At that time, the phase 1 did not yield out too many students. Phase 2, not too many, but again, we're dealing with a plan that's not finalized, that needs to be updated. I had the opportunity today to have lunch with the downtown director of South Orange, Bob Zimmer, at another seminar that I obtained I sat for Main Street USA. There's an article from South Orange I could forward to many of you. Their mayor did a study, and they have time in these projects. They have quite a few projects completed. They've been there for a while, and they do not yield many school children. Of course, I am concerned. I spent 10 years of my life studying numbers, demographics, did re-registration. I made sure re-registration was done before I left the school district because of the overcrowding situations. We don't want to see any more overcrowding in our schools, and I always will be an advocate for that.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question. And Mr. Krakowiak, you're going to go first, and it's 1 minute in length, and the question reads, West Orange has among the highest tax rate in Essex County, largely due to its lack of commercial tax base. Residents often mention attracting a Starbucks or Trader Joe's to the area. What is your action plan to spur development and attract viable businesses to West Orange? And how would you streamline zoning, planning, and building departments to be more user-friendly to new businesses?
All of that in 1 minute?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I've been a longtime advocate for a full-time town planner with business development experience. We have not had a full-time town planner for years, and I think it shows. A town this big needs one. I just recently appointed someone to the Downtown West Orange Alliance board who's a commercial real estate broker and was also a co-founder of the redevelopment group in South Orange. That would be another improvement. We certainly do need to streamline our processes. I hear all over the county that this is a difficult place to do business. We need to do better at that. And we've got to get away from this focus on residential housing. I love young families. They provide a great vitality to our community, but our schools are full, and we need to start focusing on commercial development where the people come in, spend their money, and go home somewhere else and not overcrowd our schools.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Castellino.
Okay. Promotion, promotion, promotion. We need to promote West Orange. Last spring, with the Downtown Alliance and the West Orange Public Relations Commission, we hosted a commercial realtor open house to educate commercial realtors and their investors. That's why I'm attending seminar after seminar after seminar to attract businesses, bring more businesses in. My background is real estate and marketing. I have the experiences. I'm in that world, so I have the contacts. We have to keep attracting more businesses. As far as the planner, South Orange uses a consultant, as we do, and we have increased his time this year, and hopefully there'll be more money in the budget that we could increase, because I believe everyone agrees that Mr. Greigel is a very competent planner, and but we need to get more of his time here in the township.
Thank you. Ms. Scarpa.
I believe we really need a town planner here in West Orange. We are just so geographically diverse. We're just so geographically diverse. We have so many wonderful things that we can offer with the zoo and the new Edison redevelopment. I believe if we had the right type of a planner, we could, and a good commercial realtor who understood how to bring business to West Orange, we would be able to do a lot more with our town. I think we need to market it better.
Thank you. Dr. Calfani.
So I think that when we look at taxes, first of all, we look at our tax base. 16% of our taxes come from a commercial base. So that means that the majority of the burden is on the homeowners. And so obviously we need to change that equation to be more like 25 to 30%. If we can make a plan to do that, so in addition to having a town-wide planner, which I agree with, we need to develop a town-wide plan of action, not just for one part of the town or for the downtown development or for over by the zoo. We need to think about the entire town, all 5 boroughs. And I just want to follow up on something Councilman Guarino said, and that is that he talked about the things that he's done and the reasons why he needs to. And I'm saying that one of the reasons that I'm advocating for myself is that he said back 7 years ago that he was going to we need to hold the developers accountable for the mess on Main Street, but the mess on Main Street maintains today 7 years later. So we need new people in there with new ideas to make sure that we can transform the way in which we think about that and the way in which we do.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Perkowski.
Thank you. I also echo the sentiment about the township planner. When I had the opportunity to meet with Montclair's planner and learned what she does, it's a job and a half. So I don't think a consultant is enough for a town this size, who's actually bigger geographically than Montclair. I think our commercial real estate efforts have been great. I think there's opportunity to improve or increase the frequency of that. And as a marketer, I can definitely say we need better marketing efforts, starting from our website all the way down to media promotion, magazine promotion, etc. Finally, I think that some of the bigger properties in town, it would be foolish not to, as council people, build relationships with some of those property owners so we can partner together in the best ways to drive new commercial businesses, to get the interest out there, to find out what type of tenants they're looking for, and to work together to try to get new tenants in there and build our commercial ratables.
Thank you. Mr. Guarino.
Thank you. As the council liaison to the Downtown West Orange Alliance, we brought the right people together, realtors, business people. We know what people are looking for. But one Starbucks and one Trader Joe's does not make a downtown or commercial development. What you need is to show an example, and show an example to people outside our community of what's happening in the township of West Orange. And that's what our downtown development is doing. It's creating the interest. We have the people, we have the synergy, we know what the outside world wants. All we need to do is be positive. I'm tired of people talking negative. The Downtown Alliance is moving along. It will be successful. People all over the town, as I walk over town, are so excited. They're actually coming down to look at the construction. Be positive. And these are the ways you attract commercial businesses and commercial realty in our township. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question deals with, is also 1 minute in length, and Ms. Scarpa, you're going to answer that one first, and it deals with shared services and support for shared services, and if so, what services should be shared, especially in relationship with the public schools.
It's a tough question. There probably are many opportunities to share services with the public schools. However, it's often difficult to figure out exactly what those services should be. Sometimes you have competing interests and competing agendas, and I think it's a great idea to share services, but you have to make sure the synergies are there and there are not overlapping and competing issues or demand or interests.
Thank you. Ms. Perkowski.
Thank you. I think shared services brings benefit from a cost perspective where possible. I do think what we've seen so far is that it hasn't been as easy to achieve as it sounds on paper. And I think that we need to make sure that we're not sacrificing something by entering into a shared service agreement. So, in an example, someone had once shared with me an example of sharing in a school system a vice principal between two schools. And if the job is there for two people, trying to make it go to one person, expecting that one person to do more than what one person can handle just doesn't make sense. So I think, of course, that every situation is different. I think we should be constantly looking for those opportunities to keep costs in line. That's the job of the council, and as they come up, see where we can cut some of those costs.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Calfani.
So when we look at shared services, I think we need to talk about not just the municipality, but how we have shared services with neighboring municipalities. If we look at South Orange, Maplewood, they have a shared school district. If we look at Essex Fells, they have some shared services with their neighboring municipalities. We have some shared things we do with Orange, with the fire departments. And so that I think that those types of things can continue. If we expand those initiatives, we can actually lower cost on certain things. I think we need to have more effective working relationships with the school board. That the school board, obviously the lion's share of taxes goes there. And so what are the more effective ways we can have communication? What are the regular ways we can have communication between the school board and the municipality? So that I think that those are the ways in which we push the envelope, and we have to be comfortable with what I call courageous conversations. Those conversations that are difficult, but that are necessary to bridge the gap on the things that we need to work on.
Thank you. Ms. Castellino.
Thank you. So now I don't want to share with other districts, 7,000 students, over 46,000 residents. We need to keep our services in town. However, we have shared with the school board for many years. Numerous meetings, IT department, mechanics. I could go on, but I only have a minute. The big one is the garbage contract. Before I left the school board, worked with Superintendent Rutsky, where we're aligning our contracts up, because it's timing. It's all about timing. These ideas are great, but the contracts don't line up. You can't get them on, you can't be on the same page. So garbage and recycling is big. We're working on lining that one up. I forget which one is going to expire where they'll line up at the same time, and that's a big one, folks. And we've been working on that one for a few years. Recycling as well, we have Nick Solis go over to the school constantly to work with the students and the principals on building, and the building manager on working on recycling, because we make money off of recycling. So we want to make sure that they recycle. So again, I could go on for...
Thank you.
I could talk to you after the meeting. There's been quite a few
Mr.
situations.
Guarino.
Thank you very much. Shared services can only go so far. You can only do so much with shared service, even between municipalities. They're like a nickel and dime in certain areas. They're only thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands of dollars. But what an administration does and what a purchasing department does like ours is join buying consortiums, which we've done, which West Orange and the administration and the purchasing department consistently do. This past year, and as I was council president, we were able to buy a well-needed and a well-deserved aerial ladder truck for our fire department at a savings of over $300,000 compared to what it would have cost us on the open market. That's how you save money. That's how you create savings. Sharing agreements are great, but you have to look at the bigger picture. You have to look at where you can go to find the savings. You have to shop around. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Krakowiak.
That's not an example of shared services. There are two types of shared services under our municipal government. The first is the typical ones where we share services with other municipalities. We do that. We've tried it a lot. It's not a whole lot of money. It's really hard to link up the two. The much bigger issue is shared services that are being used as a fig leaf, as a guise for the township to borrow millions of dollars on behalf of the school board, sidestepping the state law that requires bonding by school districts to go to referendum and let voters decide, and it's crowding out our budget, our municipal budget. So we have less to spend for you guys. Perfect example is the project over at Gregory School. A well-needed project, but it's again, us borrowing the $350,000 and then paying more than $400,000 for a project that wasn't done particularly well, that's still not finished. It has improved the safety in the mornings. It does not. It's still unclear whether it's fixed the problem at the school in the afternoon. It's a perfect example.
Thank you. Okay, the next question. You have 30 seconds. Mr. Guarino, you're going to go first, and it's, do you support the rehiring of a full-time planner? Why or why not? 30 seconds. And all you're going to get is the ringing of the bell at 30 seconds.
That's it? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. I do not think we need to hire a full-time planner. I think our consultant planner right now is doing a fantastic job. I think the department is working very efficiently. I think the township is moving forward. Hiring an additional A full-time planner right now will not do what we need to do. What we need to do right now is moving forward with our developments and keeping an active department the way it goes. It's functional, it's efficient, and that's the way it is. It don't need a full-time planner.
Thank you. Dr. Calfani.
I think we absolutely need a full-time planner. I think that when we look at what that person can do is to help us to develop a town-wide plan. That someone who has the responsibility of a town as big as ours to engage in the type of work that's necessary, that we can't accept the status quo, and the status quo has been having a consultant, and it's not anything against that person who's the consultant. It's about what this town needs, and we need obviously a different agenda to do that, and we haven't done that today.
Thank you.
You've left them speechless.
Okay. Ms. Castellino.
Now, if we had the funds, I would say yes, but that's not the situation. I would advocate to increase utilizing Mr. Greigel.
Okay. Mr. Krakowiak.
We absolutely need a full-time planner. We need one with a lot of commercial business development experience. I'd also like someone with experience in the redevelopment law to help advise the town and the council, because a lot of what's going on with redevelopment is very heavily weighted in the favor of the redeveloper. And we definitely need a full-time planner. And we are giving huge raises to senior people in our township that could easily pay for a redevelopment plan if we'd stop giving them so much big raises.
Thank you. Ms. Scarpa.
We absolutely need a full-time planner. If we are ever going to be able to really implement our Complete Streets program, I think it's imperative that we have a full-time planner. I think the lack of strategic planning that's gone on in this town is evident. We can see it by all of the various disjointed projects that have been, some of them poorly managed, poorly planned, and are costing us money. A full-time planner is definitely something that we must have.
Thank you. And Ms. Burkowski.
Thank you. I agree. I think we do need a full-time planner. I think our town is too big, and we've got too much going on to have just a consulting person or firm. I think that we do have a master plan, obviously, but I think that this person should be charged with overseeing the evolvement of that plan, and particularly streamlining the planning, the zoning, all of the things that we hear from business owners that are difficult for new businesses coming into town.
Thank you. Okay. Next question, and Ms. Burkowski, you're going to answer that first. The question is 1 minute response, and the question reads, with the recent rash of car break-ins, PSE&G upgrades, and many other emergency calls, the West Orange Police Department is stretched to the limit. What is your strategy for optimizing our fire and police departments, reducing crime, and increasing enforcement of traffic laws?
I think that one of the most important things to this town is maintaining our safety, and that goes both to fire and police. So I do believe the police in general feel that they're running too lean of a staff, as well as the fire, especially after they've undertaken the influx of thousands of EMS calls over the last year. So I do know there's some new hires that are currently in the academy, which I think is fabulous, but I think we need to work with the police and fire departments to hear from them what their needs are, the best way for them to get staffed, and then work together to, if it means finding grants or other opportunities for new hires to get there, we need to do that so we don't go in the wrong direction with safety.
Thank you. Mr. Guarino.
Thank you. Public safety is the #1 issue in all our townships. If any services you need to do is our public safety, our police, and our fire. We've done the best we can do, and eventually we do have to look at grants to build up our workforce, to take the overtime burden off our firefighters and our policemen, because you can't have a tired fireman or a tired policeman doing their active duty. We have done that. The benefit of it was when we took the first aid squad and we merged the EMS services, EMT, into the fire department, we were able to keep 10 firemen without laying them off. We merged that into the fire department, into our public safety. That's increasing the coverage because those firefighters do 2 levels of jobs. They do firefighting and they do EMS work. It was a benefit. It was a benefit to the township in manpower, and we didn't have to lay off 10 firemen and reduce the coverage and the safety of our residents. But the key thing is to find new revenue sources and to apply for as many grants as possible like other townships do.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kukoviak.
Maybe Monica and I should get married. Just kidding, Jim, just kidding. First of all, he's talking about the fire department, which has nothing to do with the police department. And he also neglects to mention that I was the only person who voted against the council majority eliminating the West Orange First Aid Squad in their 50th year of service to our community and adding well over $100,000 to our budget by keeping the firefighters. But in terms of the police, if the police have a problem, they need to talk to the council. And I was talking to a bunch of firefighters the other night, and I was telling them the same thing. They seem to think if they talk to the administration, that the administration is sharing all that information with us, and they're not. And I said it's up to the council that controls the budget and is also directing policy. So if they want things to happen, they need to convince the council and not assume that the administration is telling us, because the firefighters were telling us stuff that we didn't know, that they thought we knew.
Thank you very much. Ms. Scarpa.
I think we need to support the police. We need to figure out what they need and get grants or whatever budgetary needs, any budgetary concerns that they have. We ought to work towards finding monies. I think the whole idea of community policing is something that we need to look towards, and the police have already begun to do that with the Operation Hope program, which I and my son have both signed up to be angels for. It's a program where people who have problems with drug addiction can come to the police department, get help, and there is a community of volunteers called Angels who will assist them in getting the services they need. I think that's a good first step, and we need to look at more issues like that because obviously the drugs do facilitate the crime.
All right, thank you. Dr. Kalfani.
Yes, so that with regard to police, I think that we have a couple of things we can look at. One is with regard to the police that provide security for PSE&G and NJ, New Jersey, American Water, that those types of services don't necessarily need police. If you look at other municipalities, they don't always have the police. They have other armed personnel who are hired either by the municipality or by the company who can do those things at a much less cost. So those are things that we can look at in terms of lowering the cost. The other thing is that as we look at having relationships between the police and the town, I think that it's important to open those dialogues. And so as a person who serves on the Human Relations Commission, I've always been someone who's worked on that. We've had several events as the Human Relations Commission to talk about how we develop community policing and how we further those dialogues with the police and the town. And I think that's the basis of how we have to do that.
Okay, thank you very much. And Ms. Casalino.
Sure. This year we supplied our police officers with body cameras. Our fire department, we obtained an $18,000 grant for training. We have a grant in for $650,000 for some other breathing apparatus for our fire department. Police and firemen, safety, always supportive of them. We need a strategic plan. I think the council, what we don't do is we don't have workshops. We've been having dialogue about having a work meeting, which we don't have. It drives me crazy because I'm used to work meetings from the entity where I came from. And we could have those kind of planning discussions. We don't have planning discussions other than at the budget hearing, and pretty much from what I feel my first experience has already been planned. So, that's what I'm going to be advocating for after being on board for a year and reviewing the way we do business. We need to be a little more strategic in our planning when we're reviewing the budget and looking at the whole picture at once. And seeing what staff we could bring on. There's always breakage and retirements that we could look at.
Thank you. Okay. The next question are for the incumbents. And then the following question are for the challenger. So the question is for Council Representatives Krakowiak, Guarino, and Castellino. Defend your recent vote on Ordinance 2491-16, which is Senior Citizen Advisory Board. If elected, what, if anything, are your plans for a Senior Citizen Advisory Board during your first 6 months in office? You will have 1 minute to respond, and Ms. Castellino, you go first.
Sure. Okay, so that was just a nightmare with the vote for the Senior Citizen Board. I heard the advocates that came out, Aging in Place. Great concept, looking to move forward on that. Mayor's given me the green light to work with the grant writer to get a grant to work with Montclair State University on a comprehensive study to bring Aging in Place to us. And this is all great. It takes time, and I'm looking forward to working on that this next year. But as far as our services, I have a whole list of services that we already provide. We need a newsletter to get the information out there, and I feel that's where the void is right now and causing some of this controversy.
Thank you. Mr. Krakowiak.
Thank you. It was indeed a nightmare. All I tried to do was give the seniors in this town, approximately 30% of the households in this town have senior citizens or caregivers, an organized voice with a purely voluntary board, drafted the ordinance, brought it to the council. I first couldn't get it on the agenda because the council president was holding it back. And then when it got on, the other council people refused to approve it on first reading, which would have allowed us to debate it and discuss it and change it and also have a public hearing. And the nightmare is that the other council majority wouldn't even consider this. And because the mayor is opposed to it, they wouldn't vote for it. And it is just a crying shame. And unless something changes on the council, this is never going to become law.
Thank you. Mr. Guarino.
Thank you very much. You know, seniors are very important to us. Someday we're all going to be seniors, and we're all going to be seniors someday. We've always made the effort. If the seniors need an advisory board, and senior services are such an important issue, I don't feel comfortable with handing those responsibilities over to an advisory board. We have professionals, we have professional departments, and I believe the seniors come to us. Well, a gentleman came to us during the summer and wanted to go to the pool 5 times a week. It was taken care of. If seniors come to us and let them know what they need, those issues get addressed. I have a list of services that we do compared to what townships in the area do. And we do a lot for our seniors, and we'll do more. I'm looking forward to working with the grant writer to find additional funding for our seniors to look after them. I think the most important thing is the communications and that we don't have the magazine that went out quarterly. I think we need to find new ways of communications to our seniors so they know when activities are going on. Particularly when you look at the library, it has movie night, and they have all these, it's only 5 people show up. Okay. So it's communication services.
Thank you. Okay. The next question goes to Ms. Perkowski, Dr. Calfani, and Ms. Scarpa. And the question, again, you have 1 minute to respond. Ms. Perkowski, you're going to go first. And the question reads, do you support the Senior Citizen Advisory Board and Aging in Place initiatives? If yes, or if no, what changes would you enact to enable seniors to stay in their own homes and remain engaged members of our community?
I do support conceptually the idea of the advisory board. I think it offers 3 benefits. One, we've got a senior services department, obviously that's part of town, which has limited resource. So it gives them a body of volunteers to pull from for implementation of new programs. It gives them people who are willing to do research and collect the data and submit that for consideration. And it also gives us a body to filter up concerns, prioritize and filter concerns without fielding 80 phone calls a day about senior issues. So I think those are the benefits, but I think the most important thing here that we haven't touched on tonight is that we need to do a townwide senior survey first to assess what the needs are. So there are services that are offered. Are they working? Are they not working? Where are the needs? Where are the holes? Let's not rely on our thoughts or the thoughts of the few people that come to the council meetings. Let's ask the broader population and find out where the holes are.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Kalfani.
So I would suggest, and I've already voiced this in council, that the seniors have already voiced that. They've already done their own assessments. And so that it's council's responsibility to legislate. And so that you legislate on behalf of your constituents. And so that they've chosen not to legislate. Ms. Castellino suggested that we have to wait to the mayor to green light things. No, you have to legislate, and then those things go before the council, before the mayor for ratification. But the council itself can in fact put legislation forward once it collectively works to do those things. And I think that when the Senior Advisory Board is something that's absolutely necessary here. If you look at other municipalities in Princeton and Montclair and East Orange, you see that the seniors have a voice, and it's not just a matter that there's an agency out there that can that addresses one or two of their concerns. No, their whole thing is addressed through their voice.
Thank you very much, Ms. Scarpa.
I believe we absolutely need a seniors advisory board. I think Vice President Humphrey in the Johnson administration said it best. The moral test of government is how that government treats those who are in the dawn of their life, the children, those who are in the twilight of their life, the elderly, and those who are in the shadows of their life, the sick, the needy, and the handicapped. I could not agree more. I have been out in this community since I've begun running, speaking to seniors, and it's not a matter of getting newsletters out. There's a void in services. I've spoken with most of them. One woman who couldn't even get her groceries home after taking the seniors bus to the grocery store because she had more than 3 bags. And there's a 3-bag limit for the seniors who ride the bus. This is unconscionable. These seniors have real needs, and they're not being met. And just because we don't know about them does not mean that they're not there. They are there.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question will be 1 minute in length. This is for everybody, and Mr. Guarino, you're going to be answering first, and the question reads, what can you tell us about trends in the town's debt service? And what actions do you plan on taking with respect to our debt, especially in anticipation of rising interest rates?
Thank you very much. We always have to look when we deal with the budget, and we have to take it from the beginning of our budget and the service that we need and maintain our services. You can't just cut, and keep the level of services and keep the residents safe, keep the streets clean, and keep everything operating on a normal basis. To look at it is just looking at our spending and controlling our spending. But you have to remember, to make the municipality work, you have to spend money. You have to replace police cars. You have to replace fire equipment. You have to replace the needs to make government run. The snow plows that clean our streets so great that everybody's jealous of. But you have to be creative. You have to be creative in your financing. But you have to look at the bottom line. But you have to look at the level of services. If you want lower expensive, you want to look at our debt. If you want to give up something, tell the council what you want to give up, and we'll take it away. But I don't think anybody here wants to give up anything, especially the great level of services and the social aspects that we have in our community.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Scarpa.
Most taxpayers don't mind paying taxes if they're getting the services, but I don't believe that most of us feel that we're getting all of the services we need. I think anyone who's dealt with budgets, who has experience with budgets, can look at our $75 million budget and see that there is all kinds of fat in that budget. If we just took a good look at it and trimmed it and looked at some of those things that are clearly wasteful, I think we could definitely do a lot more with what we have.
Thank you. Ms. Castellino.
Okay, so our debt statement is at 1.33. Went to a seminar at the League of Municipalities because trying to educate myself on all things municipality, took a budget seminar there, asked the questions, and your debt shouldn't be over 3.5, and we're at 1.33. So I think we rate very well. We just refinanced our bonds again and took advantage of the lower interest rates. So we are mindful of our bonds, we are mindful of our spending, But again, it's strategic planning. My colleague mentioned before about the Gregory bus loop. That's costing the taxpayers $2 per year, okay, for that bond that we floated out. $2 per year. And what do we benefit? We benefit safety issues in an area that was very unsafe, that could have resulted in death of a child.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Kalfani.
So when we're talking about the trends in the debt service, I think that if you look at the 75 million and we look at those things, the static increases or costs that are to the municipality, that we have the ability to definitely trim some of that back, but also we have to figure out ways that we're going to bring in new revenue so that we don't have to rely on the same things that we've been doing already. And when we do that, then I think that we're going to have an opportunity to look at cutting our debt service, because we can move the money in ways that we haven't done in the past. That is, that we can include new ways of spending money, new ways of looking at new resources for it, and then we can have a better way of addressing our debt service overall.
Thank you. Mr. Krakowiak.
This is another nightmare. Our 2016 annual debt service is almost $7.2 million. That's up 45% since Mayor Parisi came into office, from below $5 million. That's $2.2 million a year that we're spending on debt service that we weren't spending 4 years ago. We could be spending that on a lot of other things. Our debt is up to $78.3 million as of this January. That's up $18.5 million, 31% since Mayor Parisi came into office. Folks, we can't afford this, and we have to be like a household and say we can't afford it. It is really easy to just pass bonds and spend the money and make everybody happy, but we have to reduce our bonding. We can't afford this. We've got to spend more carefully. We've got to stop borrowing for the schools. Stop borrowing for the schools. And it's got to be only necessities only, not nice to haves. Just have to say sorry, just like our household, we can't afford it.
Thank you. Ms. Perkowski.
Thank you. I agree that we need to be cautious about spending, of course, but I think that from what I've seen at least, what we've used bonds for has been necessity items. I don't think that we're off, issuing bonds for fun. We've managed to do the refinancing and take advantage of the lower interest rates, which has benefited us all. And in a rising interest rate environment, we will, face obviously increased costs going forward. But I don't think that we should sacrifice what the town needs. We're already hearing complaints that things aren't getting done. So I think stepping back in the other direction is not the right way to go for our services.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, the next question, 45 seconds. And it's going to Council Representative Krakowiak. And so he gets to answer this question. And it says, Krakowiak, yes, Krakowiak. Over the years, there have been many 4-1 votes, with you being the dissenting voice. How do you think you can work more cooperatively with your fellow members, council members?
Yes, I am 4-1 Joe, but I'm 4-1 Joe because the compromise has to work both ways. I can't compromise if nobody's willing to compromise. I can't discuss things if the rest of the council won't even second my motions so that we can have discussions and we can have votes. All I can do is keep doing what I'm doing. Anybody who watches council meeting videos, and I encourage everyone to watch as many of them as you can, when I vote for things that make sense, 80% of the times it don't, I pull the legislation and I explain why, and I'm still voted 4-1.
Thank you. The next question goes to Council Representative Jerry Guarino, and 45 seconds, and the question reads, at this very moment, the Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders are voting on Resolution 2488-16, which in essence codifies 1964 speed limits along Pleasant Valley Way. a sharp contrast to the slower and more unified speeds we've been advocating for over the last 2 years. As the council liaison to the Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board, why is progress so slow, and what have you learned from Glen Ridge, Montclair, and Verona, who have successfully lowered their speeds along Bloomfield Avenue?
Thank you very much. Very good question. Pleasant Valley Way is a different animal. The way Pleasant Valley Way is constructed and designed, it's a major roadway. It's the cut through to 280. What I've learned is working with the county, and we've moved along. Many people understand that we finally got a quarterly meeting with the county engineering department and the board of freeholders to address our issues, to help us with our grant applications. This is the way you get it done. It's called being cooperative. It's working with them. It's not being accusatory, but saying, look, please be our partners. And we do communicate with, and Ms. Belsky's been in our meetings, we do communicate with the other 5 towns in our organization, and we're finding the right direction.
And the next question goes to Council Representative Michelle Castellino. 45 seconds. Over the years, West Orange sold 2 of its schools. Now faced with increased student populations, how can we prevent this from happening again? And what is your strategy to ensure we have adequate facilities without having to bond for new school construction?
Okay, great question, and I have a very creative solution for that. For years, we looked at removing the trailers, and unfortunately, they're still there when I was on the school board. The best situation without building a new school is to move the preschool program out of the new Kelly Elementary School. That would free up about 10 classroom spaces. Where would you put a school? So we looked for property. We looked at a few sites. Things didn't pan out. I always wanted to work with the West Orange Community House and figure out a way to renovate that building, to move the preschool program there, as well as put a small addition on Mount Pleasant School to alleviate that would be overcrowding on that side of the township.
Okay, thank you.
As opposed to building a new school.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, this next question goes to Ms. Perkowski, Ms. Scarpa, and Dr. Calfani. 45 seconds, and the question reads, and Ms. Perkowski, you'll answer first, and the question reads, in 2000, West Orange undertook several successful townwide events, such as the Cow Parade and the Nickelodeon Parks cleanup. If elected, what unifying townwide initiatives or events would you like to see during your first year in office?
Thank you. I think what we've heard from some of the newer residents, especially in town, is that there's not enough of these unifying activities. So we are introducing Restaurant Week this year, which is fabulous. I'm very excited about that. We've gotten numerous comments about having some type of food truck festival, so something where we're collecting donations or tickets and raising revenue for a town or an organization, and we're driving people down there. I think another critical piece is that we have more town-wide or district-wide town hall or public meeting sessions. So I think we need to provide opportunities for feedback.
Thank you. Ms. Scarpa.
That's one of the things I hear from residents too, is they want more of a sense of community. They want more activities that families can actually participate in. And I think a series of concerts in the parks type of activities where families are welcome would be the type of activity that would be very good for not only families but for the surrounding businesses.
Thank you. And Dr. Calfani.
So I'm the vice president of the West Orange African Heritage Organization, and I think that one of the things that the town can do is to be more hands-on in its working with various types of organizations in town. And by doing so, whether it's the West Orange African Heritage Organization, the Hispanic Organization, or lots of other organizations in town, and that by working collaboratively with them, then it gives an opportunity for those organizations to be more effective in their outreach to the town. And so that our organization does lots of things with the students in the schools. We have a STEM program and other things, and that by working with the town, that we could do more things effectively. I'll stop with that.
Okay, thank you. This is the last question. It goes to everybody. 45 seconds. Ms. Scarpa, you're going to answer first. And the question reads, What health initiatives do you propose to improve the physical and emotional health of our residents?
That's a good question. I know that for the elderly, there are some services, different types of medical services that they provide. I would imagine that one of the things that is problematic is the level of, exhaust in cars on the road. And I think the implementation of a real complete streets program with a strategic planner and the development of town around those types of concepts could eliminate some of the excessive traffic and provide more group-type transportation.
Thank you. Dr. Kalfani.
So we have to address the issues in town, looking at some of the environmental hazards here in West Orange and neighboring in Orange. If you look at we have the almost like brownfields that are here that we need to look at and address those things. And so that by addressing those, and I had a meeting yesterday with one of the state representatives that looks at those things, and I think that we bring those people into town to address them, that we have a heads-on way to address it. The other thing is that I used to run an annual health and wellness expo, and I think that we would benefit from bringing something like a health and wellness expo here to West Orange. I think that would give different people at different levels, whether it's seniors or employees of the town, as well as other residents, an opportunity to see the types of things we can do to address different types of ailments, whether it's cancer and so on and so forth.
Thank you. Ms. Perkowski.
I think over the summer, the Downtown Alliance implemented an excellent program for children, where children were invited to stop into different stores and get badges. So I'd like to see us do something like that for health. So whether it's townwide, walking a certain number of mileage to get this badge or that badge, I think that'd be a good way to engage the entire town. Additionally, as we all know, we've been focused on this Aging in Place initiative. Part of the White House Conference on Aging initiatives that were released recently discussed the Keep Older Americans Moving and Go for Life fitness program. So those are partnerships with local fitness centers and Ys that I think could benefit our seniors, or could be expanded to benefit the rest of town residents who are interested in fitness as well.
Thank you. Ms. Casolino.
Sure. Well, for 10 years, I advocated, and we had a great health and wellness policy in effect in the school district. Worked with Billy Keogh very closely over the years in regards to not only youth programs, but also programs for our young adults with the softball and whatnot, advocating and organizing fields. And recently, our township has a health and wellness problem for its employees. We had a health and wellness fair last year at Liberty Middle School that was very successful. And again, aging in place. The mayor did not give me permission. I advocated to the mayor on something, and I went ahead and had a creative solution to go to the grant writer, so I didn't get the green light. I advocated for myself and my idea and worked as a team, because that's what I do. And I work on a process, and I'm working on the comprehensive study for our senior citizens.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Krakowiak.
The town already provides health services to the seniors and to low-income residents. We are also helping to fund multiple environmental remediation programs throughout the town, including at the Edison construction site, the Public Works Department, and down in the valley at around Central Avenue. I would certainly advocate that we work closer with the library to provide more forums for more health information. Also, I would advocate working more closely with the large healthcare providers here in town who are really open to working with the township and spreading more valuable information about health.
Thank you. Mr. Guarino.
Thank you. Folks, it's commitment and results, and talk is cheap. But during my 4 years on the township council, when we talk about health issues, I instituted the smoking, the increase in the purchase of tobacco products. I enforced and got the ordinance to license e-cigarette products. The Safe Routes to School, which is part of our Complete Streets program, to help our children become less obese, to reduce their sugar levels, to walk to schools, to make this a healthy environment. Talk is cheap when you say what you want to do. This is what I've done. This is what I've advocated for our community, our young, our old, our students. I will never put the price tag on the life of a child, no matter whatever comes to whatever project. But we've worked hard, we've done commitments, our complete streets, our smoking, our feral cats, taking care of the feral cat population. That reduced a health hazard. So that's what you do, commitment and results.
Thank you. And then this brings us to the candidates' closing statements. They will have a minute and a half, 90 seconds. They're going to be going in the reverse order of the opening statement. And Ms. Scarpa, you going first.
As I said before, I'm running for town council because I want to make my community a better place to live. I am not a politician. I am here solely to do what is in the best interest of our community. I've done that in the schools. I've advocated for our children. As a result, I've gotten 2 PASS awards from the parents because I've always gone above and beyond to advocate for those children, even when it was not politically expedient for myself. If I'm on the council, I will definitely do the same for you. I have no agenda. I believe we need a change, and I believe we need another pair of eyes and a voice for all of our residents. Some of our residents do not feel they're being heard. Not only the seniors, but other residents I speak to in town who have come out to talk to the town council on various projects. I hope that I can be the voice for all residents and be a change agent.
Thank you. Mr. Krakowiak.
Some of you may have heard that I'm a Dr. No, that I oppose everything just for the sake of argument. Anyone who watches a few council meetings, and again, I encourage you to watch them. You can go to the homepage of the town website to watch them, knows that's simply not true. What I actually do is listen to the people because I believe elected officials work for the people, not the other way around. If you count all the legislation we vote on, I vote with the mayor 80 to 90% of the time. But when legislation doesn't make sense for the community, I pull it for discussion and try to persuade the other council members. I only vote no on legislation that doesn't make sense. But while the other council members vote with the mayor about 99 to 100% of the time, there are many issues our residents have supported that the council majority has said no to, like the Senior Citizens Advisory Board ordinance. No to giving $60,000 to fully fund the library. No to greater transparency on PRISM's construction. No to continuing West Orange First Aid Squad in its 50th anniversary. No to letting the school board pay for their own projects on school property and not avoid the state law of going to public referendum. And you might remember 2 years ago, the council majority said no to nearly 200 petitioners who asked for a referendum to decide whether the people should decide whether to move municipal elections from May to November. I'm the one who worked with seniors to draft the Senior Citizens Advisory Board ordinance that no other council person would even vote to introduce. I'm the one who found nearly $118,000 of unused budget line items for the library that no other council person would vote to discuss. In short, I'm the only independent voice on council. Therefore, I respectfully ask for your vote on November 8th.
Thank you. Mr. Guarino.
Thank you very much. My 4 years in the council has been a privilege. It's not a right, it's a privilege. And we've done some great things. I've been able to accomplish a lot of the things I've done to increase activity for our youth, to bring about the Main Street development, to move it forward for after all these years of sitting there as an eyesore for the township. Let's not listen about the First Aid Squad. The First Aid Squad had no volunteers anymore. They were paying people to be on the First Aid Squad. So it was a shame to see them go for volunteers, but we did the right thing to protect our residents. I've always voted for things, and I listen to my constituents. I walk around. I've been actively involved in this community even before I was a council person. I've stayed actively involved. From the West Orange Community House, which we will be opening a first-class basketball center in this next spring season that didn't cost the Township of West Orange anything. I believe in working for you. I do work for you. I listen to our residents. And I don't just bring up legislation when it's election time. I bring up legislation throughout the whole time of my whole term. I hope you'll support me. I hope you'll give me another chance to keep bringing West Orange forward and to make us a positive community. Enough with the negatives, enough with the accusatory remarks. Let's be positive and work forward for a better West Orange. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Calfani.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the Valley Civic Association and the League of Municipalities. I'm sorry, not the League of Municipalities, but the League of Women Voters for bringing us to this point. I think that what I want you to understand is that we need a positive change in West Orange. And I'm asking for your vote to help me to bring a positive change. We definitely have the ability to transform the things that are problems for some residents. Some residents enjoy things as they are, but we, as elected officials, we have a responsibility to all residents. And so I'm someone who is here that is going to represent all 5 boroughs, is going to address the issues we want to sweep under the table, sometimes uptown and downtown, up the hill, down the hill dialogues. I want us to address those dialogues. I want us to figure out ways that we can make sure that the seniors don't feel alienated or isolated. We want to bring an advisory board to fruition and find out what are the other issues that need to be brought to fruition so that we're not just talking about addressing things, but we're actually addressing them, and that we're not sweeping things under the table because they don't fit our particular goals and objectives at the time. We have to be courageous in our approach to addressing things. And so that I have working relationships with folks on the state level and on the county levels, and I will bring those relationships to bear to make sure that we can bring positive change to West Orange.
Thank you. Ms. Casalino.
Sure. I'm proud to say I've been a 20-year community advocate for the Township of West Orange. For 10 years, I had to balance the needs of 11 buildings, 1,100 staff members, 7,000 students, and I have proven results that yield in cost savings of $2 million, $4 million in grants, and $200,000 in fundraising activities that I personally assisted in fundraising. No different this year when I came to the Township Council. I immediately joined. I saw a need with the library, joined the fundraising committee, working with my colleague. We had raised $10,000, supported many initiatives mentioned today. It's a balance, folks. We have great services here. Yeah, do we need improvements? Or some departments may be lacking? We need to look. We need to have it. This council, the council has to have, not the township. We talk about what the administration's doing. The township needs a strategic plan to move forward this year. Then we could criticize, we could look. Everybody wants to, throw figures out there of needs. It costs money. Great services, but it costs money, and it's a balance. I know how to balance. I balanced for 10 years, and this year was no different when I looked at all the needs of this community. I've worked hard over the years, and I hope on November 8th you could choose me for one of your 3 votes to continue for working for each and every one of you. Thank you, ladies, for having us this evening.
Thank you. And Ms. Burkowski.
So first, let me thank everyone here for your attention tonight. You've heard a variety of viewpoints, several different topics, and now the choice is yours. So I offer the prior business experience that has prepared me for the difficult decisions elected officials are often forced to make. I offer you a new perspective, one that's solely my own, and the ability to investigate opportunities and to think critically about our future. And I offer you a candidate who's willing to work with anyone who's elected and to consistently seek continued feedback and insight from our community. This feedback is critical. Some of our greatest ideas have come from those that live among us. I encourage each of us to find ways to have this dialogue happen more frequently. I commit to you an open mind, and I look forward to the opportunity to take a bigger role in our community. So after you've considered everything you've heard tonight, I encourage you to vote for me as one of your votes on November 8th.
Thank you. And I think we should give a big round of applause to our candidates.
Wow, this has been a very informative evening. I do want Lori Kapfer to stand up. I want to thank her very much for helping me collate and streamline the questions. Thank you, Lori and Dave and family. Okay, so thanks again for coming out. I know that I am much more well-informed than I had been when I walked into this room. Thank you for agreeing to show up and face the tough questions. Have a good night, everybody. This is going to be on Fios and Comcast as soon as we can get it there. And have a good evening. Drive carefully. Thank you.